Hello, everybody. If you don't want to be a Grinch this holiday, don't forget we have the Slay Your Holiday group coming up really soon. Okay, so today's topic is going to be about kids' nutrition. A few things that I want to kind of highlight first is I did reach out to everybody. If I don't have your email and you want to hang out and stay in this group, make sure that I have your email. So you should get a message from me this morning if I don't have your email, okay? I already have 4 of you go in and fill everything out, so we're good. Okay, so let's talk about kids' nutrition. When I first got started in the online wellness space, I was already starting to get very into nutrition. And what created that interest for me was my daughter. So when my daughter started eating table food, I wanted to make sure that I was, a new mom. I was wanting to make sure I did it right. So I started reading the books and I started learning a lot about what we were, going to be putting into her body and what I wanted that to look like and all of those things, right? And then I started being like, well, why don't we do that for ourselves? It was like an aha moment that like, okay, I want this for her, but why don't I want that for myself? So that was kind of where everything started at, was really wanting to do the best for my kids. So I'm going to talk a lot about kids' nutrition because I feel like oftentimes I hear this from parents that they're like, oh, they're young, they'll be okay, they'll work it off. And, we just kind of use those, like, it's okay, like, we just have this mindset of like, well, I can't do it, but like, it's okay for them because they're young, right? And when I first got into this, my mindset was, I want the best for her, but why am I not doing this for me? Like, I just kind of had that reverse feeling about nutrition. So I want to kind of change your thoughts on that. Yes, kids are young. Yes, kids can burn it off quickly, but we want to set them up for success at an early age. And here's one thing that I can tell you. I have one kid that is not picky at all. She would eat anything and she would eat it fast. Doesn't matter. She didn't really care or like the food. She's going to eat it, right? So I was like, all right, this is easy. What are people talking about having picky kids? And then I had my second kid, and my second kid was very picky, okay? We had to figure out what he liked, honestly, and not give in to every little desire he had or swap out good, healthy foods for starchy carbohydrates because that's what he preferred. So it was a battle, and it was a battle to me that was worth it more than anything else, because I know if I set him up for success at an early age, that as an adult, he's going to have a good, healthy balance with foods, and he's going to be without illnesses. He's going to, grow and develop as a healthy adult. And that's what I was really focused on. So I really wanted that for him, which meant that I had to, if he didn't like certain vegetables, I had to figure out what vegetables he liked, right? So my son didn't like lettuce. He didn't like asparagus. He didn't like green beans. But I figured out that he liked bell peppers, and he liked cucumbers, and he liked the little sweet red peppers, and he would eat carrots. So when we would be having a salad or something else that the whole family would eat, I would swap his vegetable out to the vegetables that he preferred. So notice that I didn't swap it out for mac and cheese or a starchy carbohydrate. I swapped it out for a vegetable that he liked. Now, another thing that I learned is that he would like having sauces on it. And I don't mean like the really crappy sauces. I meant like I would try vinaigrettes. I went and got infused balsamic vinaigrettes, and he loved that. And he'd put that all over his vegetables, and he still does it to this day, where he puts it now on his meat. This is our current struggle. He struggles with meat, very picky. We have to try and figure out like the condiments that he will enjoy in order for him to have the meat. And he's always the last one sitting at the dinner table, right? So he's 8 years old, and we're still at a battle with food with him. But I will tell you, we reintroduce foods to him. So that's the second thing that I would encourage you guys. If your kid doesn't like certain foods, then swap it out for another good choice, but reintroduce it. Don't mark it off the list, because we've came back and reintroduced foods and he's liked it. And I would always I would kind of prejudge and be like, he ain't gonna eat it. He ain't gonna eat it. And then he would eat it. And he'd be like, oh, I kind of like it. And I'm like, really? So I taught myself a lesson because I was like, okay, I will put it on his plate, but he's not going to eat it. And over time, he would start to eat those things, right? When I reintroduce them. So now he eats a lot of vegetables. He'll eat asparagus, he eats green beans. He eats all those things that he previously didn't like. He has them, right? But I'll tell you, he still prefers the bell peppers, the cucumbers. He loves cherry tomatoes. He still prefers those things. So that's one thing that I can share with you is that every kid is different. If you have a picky eater, when you start early, okay, start as a toddler, then it's going to be a lot easier on you and on them as they get older. Now, if you come into this and they're age 12 and you've given in and allowed them to be that picky eater, you didn't reintroduce foods or didn't bring different foods, different vegetables for them to try, and you just kind of allowed them to have what they want, and then now they're 12 and you're like, man, I really want to focus, try to go back and help them eat better. It's going to be a little more difficult because when they're at age 12, they're a little more set in their ways. So if you have younger kids, I encourage you to start at a younger age. I did, as my son was a toddler, boys have struggled with motor skills. So he would often he couldn't sit still. He couldn't sit still for a long period of time. Okay. And I talked to my OB, my gynecologist about this. And, she had said it's normal because boys their motor skills, they can't hardly control them when they're younger. So that's why you find that boys are just like running around like crazy and the girls are just in the corner, all sweet. Oh, it's fun when you have a girl first and a boy second because you're like, oh, whoa, this is a little different. So I would let him get up and come back. So he'll come back to the dinner table 5 minutes later. And at first I fought that. I'm like, no, you're sitting right there. No, you can't get up. And then finally I'm like, you know what will happen if I let him get up? And then I say, hey, come back over here and have a couple more bites. It worked like a charm. He ate so much more. It took longer. It was work for me. But again, I felt there was value in putting in that effort. So those are the things I want to share with you on that. Now, if you're somebody who's struggling, like, okay, well, what is healthy? What is right for my kids? I'm going to introduce you guys to a chart, and I will post it in the comments, and I will later post it. I might try and post it as a post today. But this is a chart that, a nutrition plan that I have followed over the years, and they call it Eating in the Rainbow. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. I'm going to flip this around. It is a great chart for kids, and the ideal is exactly like what I said. It's eating in the rainbow. It's eating an assortment of foods. So that's what you want your kids to do, is have an assortment of foods. When I pack my kids' lunch, I'm looking at a lot of things to happen. I'm looking for them to have a protein. I'm making sure they have a fruit. I'm making sure they have a vegetable. I'm looking to see, is there a healthy fat? I am trying to make sure there is a variety. And so that's the best thing that you can do for your kids, is create a variety of foods. And to really start to look at the labels of things for sugar, because there is a lot of sugar and a lot of things. I actually follow a guy on Instagram, and he was talking about the dietary recommendations for kids, how what's the word I'm looking for? How bad it is here in the United States. Like, let's just be blunt. It's bad. And the fact that they say that a kid's diet, it's okay for them to have 10% of their diet throughout the day should be sugar. And the things that they are allowing in schools, I'm mind blown by. I think schools do well on some things, but other things, like my son's school, elementary school, has slushies sometimes. I'm like, why? Why would you have a slushie at lunch? Like, really? For elementary kids, slushie? Okay. So sometimes you have to advocate for your kids. You have to make sure they understand a good balance. You know, my son knows he's not going to get a slushie for lunch. Like, that's just not going to happen. Okay, so let me flip this around here. I'm going to show you this chart. So I love this chart because it is all about eating in the rainbow. So it has them check a box. How much water did you have? How many veggies? How much fruit? How much protein? And notice how veggies has a lot of little circles there too. Of course, so does carbs. So you're still getting in a lot of veggies, but they still, you know, you're looking at this kind of like as your recommendation, right? They're not going to hit all these bubbles, but the ideal is to have a variety. Are they having any oils or nut butters, peanut butters, anything like that? Any seeds or dressings, healthy fats, and having a conversation. What is healthy fat? Well, healthy fat is cheese and avocados and, you know, helping them understand what would go in that category. Carbohydrates. You can even teach them a carbohydrate rule to see if they're eating things that are high in fiber. But you don't even have to go to that degree. Let's just encourage them to eat all the food groups, right? To get in the veggies, the fruit, the protein, the carbs, the healthy fats, the seeds or the nut butters. The ideal for kids' nutrition is balance, right? And you can even go back and look at this chart and be like, okay, let's look at your chart. Let's see, what did you miss today? Oh, wow, you didn't check off any vegetables. And I always tell my kids, I go, vegetables are life. Vegetables are life, and they're going to keep you feeling more full if you're adding those into all the additional things that you're eating. So my daughter was little when we were thinking in food groups, because the nutrition plan I followed for years thinks in food groups. My daughter would come home and she'd be like, Mom, you didn't pack me a vegetable. I didn't have a vegetable all day today. So for my snack, I should probably have a vegetable. And I was like, what? You noticed that? Like, it's really cool when you just have open conversations with your kids of like, hey, like, what did you have in your breakfast? Okay, you had cereal. All right, what do you think? And I'll ask my kids this all the time. I'm like, what did you have for breakfast? Did you have cereal, or did you end up eating eggs and in a wrap? Or did what did you end up having? Did you have oatmeal? Like, what'd you have? I'm always like, what'd you have? And then when they tell me it's something that's like carbs, then I say, okay, there's a lot of carbs. We need to make sure we get in protein and veggies for lunch today. So here's what we're going to have. And so that way we're not focusing on weight. Okay. We're not talking about weight or calories. We're focusing on a balanced diet with them. We're focusing on balanced nutrition. Are you properly fueling your body with all the food groups? And again, I tell my kids, vegetables are life. They are what your body needs. Plants are life. And if you think about, when we think about plants, those aren't just vegetables. Plants are anything that comes from a plant. Beans come from a plant. Bread comes from a plant, right? It's made out of wheat and flour and all the things that come from a plant. So, you're looking at eliminating having a lot of processed food. And even my kids I'll say, okay, did you have a processed snack today? And a processed snack might be like Pirate's Booty or Annie's Bunnies or something like that. And they say, yeah, I had that today. I'm like, okay, then you need to have a fruit or vegetable. What do you want? Or you need to have a carrot muffin, or you need to have an energy ball. So we're trying to always balance food out. And then I'm also reminding them to drink water. Hey, did you have any water today? When my son has a headache, my husband and I were always like, did you have any water today? How much water did you drink today? You probably didn't have enough water today. Even with my daughter, who is going through her preteen years right now, she's 12, but her face is starting to break out. And so we're talking more about like, okay, well, what if it could be related to things that are happening in your gut? Because we know how dairy can sometimes make you feel. Because we've had conversations about, as I went through gut nutrition plans, which we're going to be doing that in January, guys, stay tuned. As I went through gut nutrition plans, I have told her, like, a lot of what happens on your face is reflective of an imbalance in your gut. And an imbalance of your gut, we know that dairy kind of bothers her. I said, that's probably what's impacting your face. So she's even cutting back a little bit on dairy. She's taking Shaklee's probiotic Pearl. And so that way we're trying to balance out her gut. it's just having these open conversations when they're younger. We talk in a different way. As they get older, I'm teaching my daughter Reese different things. I'm teaching her to look at that carbohydrate rule. So she is eating carbs that are high in fiber. We're talking a little bit more about balance with sugar. We're talking about how the gut can impact her skin. With my son, we're talking more about, hey, what did you have for breakfast? All right, that means you need to have a vegetable and a fruit. Hey, did you have a processed snack earlier today? All right, that means you got to have a fresh snack today. So having those conversations with them, guys, not conversations of, okay, how many calories I have? Did you see all those calories in it? That's really fattening. Like, it's not that type of conversation. It is a healthy conversation around food that helps them understand that fueling our body gives us energy. And that's what we always talk about in my household is, when they say, oh, I'm tired, I don't really feel good. I said, well, it's probably because of what you ate, because, you've been eating more sweets here lately as the holidays have came around. So you probably aren't feeling as energetic, or you had too much sugar today. If I know we went somewhere where we just had ice cream, well, you probably feel that way because you just had ice cream, and we know that's a lot of sugar. Reese, that's dairy and it bothers your belly. So we're talking about how those things impact our body, and we're not talking about food in a unhealthy mindset surrounded by calories and fat grams. Okay, we're talking about how it impacts us. And even us as adults, maybe those are things that you need to do with yourself instead of focusing so much on the calories or the fat grams. Focus on how you feel, right? Because a lot of times those things that are high in calories, high in fat, high in sugar, they don't make you feel good. And if you can focus on wanting to feel better, everything else will probably fall into place. If you can help your kids focus on wanting to feel better, they're going to grow up knowing how to make better choices because they realize how it impacts their body. All right, guys, I think I've talked enough about kids' nutrition. This is my soapbox. I could literally go on forever. I love it. My kids are the driving force of why I've got so much into nutrition. And they have made a big impact on my life. And I hope that I'm able to make an impact on their life as they grow older and they are responsible for their own health. So my husband and I always say we can only advocate for you for so long, and then you have to be the one to start making those good choices for yourself so you grow up to be healthy, strong, and you're not facing illnesses when you are older, So, all right, guys, I am going to jump off here. Hope you all have a wonderful hump day. If anybody wants to join our sleigh for the holiday, I did go live. I did do a post in here. If you have any questions, hey, Danielle, what are you talking about sleigh for the holiday? Then let me know. We are doing a stress-free group the week before Christmas. I'm super excited about it. I already have a big list of you guys that are wanting to do this group. But just comment below. And I'm going to place that Eating the Rainbow PDF in the comments, and I'll come in here either tonight or tomorrow and I'll do a whole different post. I might come in here tomorrow and do a post about it, so that way it kind of gets highlighted on its own for those who didn't come in here and watch my live video. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.